Halfway through the NFL season means it's time for our Midseason Awards, and today it is Douzable handing out the honors. Right now, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen are actually tied as co-MVP favorites when it comes to the odds. A lot of people don't see it that way. Lamar Jackson, try to wrap your head around this, on pace to finish, if he stays at the track he is now, nearly 4,500 passing yards, 38 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and nearly 1,000 rushing yards. He very well may do it. Again, taking a look at the odds, Lamar Jackson, oh no, Josh Allen has now jumped ahead of him at plus 250. Lamar Jackson sitting at plus 280. Let's see what Leger has to say about that. Leger, I talked to you earlier in the day, and they were co-favorites. I don't know what has happened for Josh Allen to jump him. But you and I agree, this award right now, and hopefully at the end of the season, is still going to Lamar.
Amanda, this is utterly ridiculous. And this is not a slight at Josh Allen. Love what he's done in Buffalo. He's really elevated his team. A lot of people wondered, would they struggle this year without not having a true #1 receiver after Stephon Diggs left? I love that Josh Allen is taking care of the football. He's one of the most dangerous quarterbacks, if not the most dangerous quarterbacks in the red zone. But what Lamar Jackson is doing is asinine. When you talk about some of the stats you just read off, right? People wanted this guy to change positions coming out of college. I don't think there's been a player that has progressed at a specific position more than Lamar Jackson has this year. Like we were talking earlier, Amanda, and the defensive coordinator last week for the Denver Broncos stated all week long, I want to make sure I stop the run. Lamar Jackson goes out there and has a perfect quarterback rating and goes 16 for 19 and carves up that defense. Like nobody's doing it better from within the pocket. Let me say that one more time. Nobody is doing it better from within the pocket than Lamar Jackson right now. 20 touchdown passes, only 2 interceptions. And you stated it, man. He's on track to almost rush for 1,000 yards as well. So not only is he top 5 in passing yards, he's top 15 in rushing yards at the quarterback position. Right? A lot of people wondered after the first 2 games what this offense was going to look like. Well, everybody is starting to gel on that side of the ball, and Lamar Jackson has elevated his game to new heights. This offense at times looks unstoppable with King Henry in the backfield. But again, nobody is more valuable right now to their team than Lamar Jackson. And again, it's asinine that it's even this close, and Vegas has those odds that close with Josh Allen. And what's even more appalling is that Patrick Mahomes is 3rd on that list.
We'll get into, look, we have got a lot of time to get into it, but yes, he has been very much a game manager. There are other people that should probably be higher than Patrick Mahomes. However, Vegas will put the odds where they feel necessary and where they can make some money. Let's go with Offensive Player of the Year. You're sticking with the Ravens, the king holding court. Why do you like Derrick Henry here?
I don't even think this should be up for discussion. I believe him and Sean Alexander are the only 2 guys through 9 games that have over 1,000 yards rushing and 10+ rushing touchdowns. I mean, a lot of people thought this guy was over the hump, Amanda, right? 30 years old. Tennessee Titans didn't run and re-sign him. The Dallas Cowboys didn't want to sign him. Well, he's making everybody eat crow right now because of plays like this. Any given toss play, any given zone play, Amanda, he could take it 50, 60, 70 yards. And for a guy that's 6'4", 250 pounds, he separates from defensive backs. That's unheard of. And when you look at him, people would think just because of his size, you're going to get downhill run game like powers, right? You're going to get the ISO lead. No, he's going to get on the edge and outrun everybody with that size. He's like a thoroughbred in the open field. So I don't think this is a question, just like MVP shouldn't be a question right now. The Offensive Player of the Year right now would be Derrick Henry.
Okay, first 2 there, no questions. And I've been looking through a lot of other people's midseason awards, and no one's really arguing with you on those points. So we all agree. Defensive Player of the Year, you're going with someone that I haven't really seen on a lot of lists. You like Brian Branch.
Without a doubt. I mean, I think this could be one of those years where we don't see a defensive end, outside linebacker, inside linebacker win this award. Now, Bobby Wagner is up for this discussion, but when you see what Brian Branch has done for the Detroit Lions, right? He's forced 5 total turnovers, I think 4 interceptions, 1 forced fumble. But, man, he has 11 pass breakups. Like, nobody understands route concepts or has recognitions of route concepts better than Brian Branch. He knows exactly where the football is going to go. And the great thing about him, Amanda, he's so versatile. He's so versatile. He's a guy that can play in the slot at nickel. He's a guy that can play free safety. He can play in the box. You can move him all over the place. I think Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, has done a masterful job at doing that. Now, his safety mate Kirby Joseph is tied for the league in interceptions. So that whole secondary has played well. I just think Brian Branch has played at a higher level than him. And right now, he's my odds-on favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year.
And we mentioned Aiden Hutchinson would probably win that. However, he did go out in week 6, even though he is still at the top of a lot of the rankings when it comes to those defensive ranks here. Let's go Offensive Rookie of the Year. And this is one, much like last season, there's not a lot of question.
There's no debate. And honestly, Jayden Daniels is a top 3 candidate for the MVP award in my books right now. When you see what he's done, he's literally resurrected a franchise, man. And when you talk about the Commanders being at the bottom of the barrel in just 1 year, turning things around there, right? The poise that this kid has in the pocket is unheard of. I mean, this dude was playing with messed up ribs, and you would never know it the last 2 weeks. He's such a gutsy player, right? To have the wherewithal and the grit and determination to throw the ball 60-plus yards in the air for that Hail Mary win versus Chicago Bears. That connection right there that we saw on the screen, him and Terry McLaurin, it's great to see scary Terry McLaurin finally have a guy that can get him the ball efficiently. We're seeing that he is a true top 10 receiver once he has adequate quarterback play. And do you see right there completion percentage? I believe he's top 3 in the NFL in completion percentage as a rookie, Amanda, right? Averages over 50 yards rushing a game. So he not only affects the game throwing the ball, but also with his mobility as well. Like you said, this one isn't even up for debate.
Another one that's not so much up for debate, I don't think so at least. Maybe some other people do. Defensive Rookie of the Year, you're going with Jared Verse. Really kind of the only consistent edge rusher we've seen out of this draft.
There's a little debate here for me, right? I have Quinyon Mitchell right there with him. I think Quinyon Mitchell has had a heck of a season this year for the Philadelphia Eagles at corner, but Jared Verse has really turned it on the last couple weeks. You talked about it. Nobody has been close to his production when it comes to the edge position coming out of last year's draft. I mean, you see right here, he's able to bend the edge, but the thing about him, Amanda, his speed, the power, and physicality is why coming out of the draft, he reminded me of Khalil Mack. Now, I didn't know if it would translate as much because he was running over college kids, but it translates. Like, he is one of the most physical players in the NFL, and the way he's able to set up other guys. We saw Braden Fisk have 2 sacks this last week. It was because of Jared Verse and what he's done on the edge in regards to those pass rush games. So Jared Verse right now is the odds-on favorite. You saw the speed and power, him just knock that tackle by and get to Sam Darnold. But Quinyon Mitchell is making some noise, and I think can make a run for this at the end of the year.
Let's go to Comeback Player of the Year. This one is always fun to argue about. I'm seeing J.K. Dobbins out there. You're going with Joe Shiesty, Joe Burrow. Why do you like him over anyone else?
You already know. And this would be the second year he would win it, right? Coming off that wrist injury where he missed the majority of last year. Amanda, if not for their defense, Joe Burrow would be in the MVP category right now, right? They're 4-5, but it hasn't been because of Joe Burrow. Look at the rankings right there. 70% completion percentage is top 5 in the NFL. He's top 5 in passing yards, top 2 in passing touchdowns, and passer rating. He's 3rd in the NFL. We were talking earlier, Amanda, and what I really love from Joe Burrow, what I've seen from him this year, is the way he's processed and got the ball out of his hands, right? You can't go broke taking a profit, and nobody has done a better job of that this year than Joe Burrow. Let's not forget a few years ago, he helped them get to the Super Bowl, but he was sacked like 60-plus times. Well, he's not doing that this year, right? He's getting the ball out of his hand. He's being efficient. Mike Gesicki, you see it on the screen, he's been really big the last few weeks with T. Higgins being out. But nobody has better pocket awareness and pocket movement in the pocket than Joe Burrow. Again, he would be up for MVP if not for that defense. They have a big game tonight, and he still has an opportunity to maybe sneak into that MVP category if they're able to pull up the upset versus the Ravens. But what has hurt them is they've started the season slow, and the defense has really struggled. But Joe Burrow and that offense, they have been cooking this year, and he deserves Comeback Player of the Year. But also, if they continue to win, he'll probably sneak into that MVP category.
Another name that's been thrown out there, Kirk Cousins, but we'll see if the Bengals can kind of outperform the Falcons as we continue down the line. Finally, Coach of the Year, who wins right now for you?
To me, it's Dan Campbell, and I know there's a couple guys that could be in this category. You go Andy Reid, they're undefeated. You can go Mike Tomlin for what he's done for the Pittsburgh Steelers. One, I think Dan Campbell got shafted last year. I love what Kevin Stefanski did, playing 5 different quarterbacks. But when you go back to last year, Amanda, and I know it's this year category, and I'll explain what I'm going to talk about. Going back to last year, right, they had so much on their plate in regards to expectations, right? The year before, they go on like an 8-game win streak. They don't get to the playoffs because Seattle wins the last week, but they still knocked the Green Bay Packers out of the playoffs. So going into last year, expectations were through the roof. Everybody had them winning the NFC North, and they didn't disappoint. And if not probably for some aggressiveness by Dan Campbell in an NFC Championship game, they go to the Super Bowl. Well, then you look at the team this year, Amanda, again, high expectations. Again, a lot of people think that the Green Bay Packers would be on their heels. Well, you know what they just did Sunday in inclement weather in Green Bay? What a beatdown on Green Bay. And you talked about it. They didn't have their best defensive player. Aiden Hutchinson has missed the last few games. And the defense has actually improved them, man. They have a top 5 defense when you look at what they've done like the last 5 weeks of the season. So Dan Campbell has done a masterful job, not only putting that staff together, but getting the right players in there. Also, shout out GM Brad Holmes. He's done a masterful job drafting a lot of those players as well. But I believe Dan Campbell right now should be Coach of the Year.
I love it. Lige adamant about who should win. I wish Pete Prisco was here to argue with you a little bit, but we have plenty of time. Lige Douzable, we appreciate it. Lige, what day are you on Pushing the Pile?
Every Wednesday, we do a deep dive, and we also answer everybody's questions. Anything you want to know about football, reach out to us. Pushing the Pile every Wednesday.
Or just anything else. Make sure to throw those questions in. Download and follow Pushing the Pile, the NFL podcast.